So let's bring in Charlie Hurt, Washington Times opinion editor and columnist. He is a Fox News contributor, and Tezlyn Figaro, political analyst and chief political correspondent for Revolt News. Great to have both of you with us. So, Tezlyn, let me go to you first. It's been a really amazing 24 hours, and just watching this kind of orchestration of moving Joe Biden out as we have seen it happen. And I think that it is very notable that we haven't heard or seen from him since this decision is made. What's your reaction, Tezlyn?
Yeah, I wish I was in that interview with Representative Swalwell, and I'll just tell him directly, stop. The American people are not idiots. You have half of the Democrat Party saying that he was pushed out because he was. Representative Cedric Richmond was very clear and said that the donors did this, and now they need to pony up in order to support VP Harris. You have several different people like Bakari Sellers who also said that he was treated horribly. American people are big enough. We're grown enough to accept the truth. Two things can be true at the same time. We can say that the donors pushed him out, which is why Senator Bernie Sanders said get big money out of politics, and then pivot to the next message to say, hey, now they're organizing. Now they're moving forward. Now they're coalescing behind VP Harris. If Democrats continue to be off message and continue to lie to say that he just did this as some selfless patriot, it just doesn't land. And it continues to keep the deceit and continues to move people away from the polls. So I would encourage Democrats to get one message and one message only and stop pretending like we're idiots. Joe Biden was forced out. He did not want to get out this race. Should he have gotten out? Absolutely. He should have gotten out 3 years ago. But as of now, he's been forced out, and now they're moving on to VP Harris to continue the administration. So I don't like what I heard, and I think it's disingenuous.
So, Charlie, it's no secret that on the Trump side, they were fine running against President Biden. And the numbers were very strong. He was beating him pretty handily in most of the battleground states. So they wake up this morning, and we're going to speak to two of the members of that team later in the show. What's your take on what they now face?
So ever since Donald Trump wrapped up the nomination a few months ago, I have asked either President Trump, former President Trump, or everybody in his team every single day, do you want to face Joe Biden, or who, or would you rather face Kamala Harris, or who would you? And the answer always came back, honestly, if we can make this about the issues, we don't care. We're going to prosecute the same case if we can make it about the issues. And obviously, what's interesting here is Democrats are desperate to make this about anything but the issues. And just a minute ago with Congressman Swalwell, when you asked him about Joe Biden, he couldn't even compliment Joe Biden without going and talking about Donald Trump, because they don't even want to talk about Joe Biden. They don't even want to talk about Kamala Harris. They just want to talk about Donald Trump because they can't answer any of the questions. Whether it deals with the economy, whether it deals with the border and crime, whether it deals with global peace, which of course is supposed to be Joe Biden's huge strong suit, and it has been an absolute catastrophe under his watch. And so that's why they don't want to talk about those issues. And I think that Tezlyn is exactly right. The effort by them to try to squelch out all transparency is because they don't have a campaign to run on except to criticize Donald Trump and try to make Donald Trump into some sort of weird political gargoyle that isn't even true, by the way, but try to turn him into some freak so that they can run against that because they don't want to run on their own record.
Yeah, Tezlyn, I just want to ask you quickly about the battleground state question. As you look at the map, where do you think Kamala could win? Where can she help her party succeed in those states?
Yeah, I think her VP choice will certainly be critical to her. If I were to take a guess on what would help her, I would certainly say the governor of North Carolina. There's going to be, Georgia's going to be an uphill battle. I was looking at some polls this morning as I was coming in that those votes, have shifted. We know that is a new battleground state. My network is in Atlanta, so we're constantly organizing. So it's going to take a lot of work. I said last week, and I'm not going to change my position. I think Joe Biden should have been at the top of the ticket. I think it is very hard to change with 3 months out. But I was also on a call last night with 40,000 women who were organizing, who said that they had a 50 state strategy. They also raised over $60 million. So we'll see how it all lands. It certainly is an uphill battle for sure, and all those states will need some attention.
Going to be interesting. Tezlyn Figaro, thank you very much. Charlie Hurt, thank you as well. Great to see you both today.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.